I'd like to see a movie. Hey, best friend. What are we gonna do today?
Movies!
Movies!
Open!
Yes!
Yo!
So, what movie are we going to see on this wonderful day in the Sunshine State, dear friend?
We're gonna go watch In the Heights.
In the Heights.
In the Heights. Do, 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 do.
We're gonna go see In the Heights.
Thoughts on the movie? Grego movie rants.
I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know yet.
Thoughts on predictions on the movie? Grego movie rants.
I'm hoping that it's good. Because if you know me, you know that the track record I've seen with recent film musicals that are just like, let's take the Broadway thing and put it on movies. Pretty hit or miss.
Yeah.
Some are really good, some are like meh. Like it's like, yep, you sure did the show.
I have heard mixed reviews.
Have you?
I have, because they cut out an entire character.
No.
One of my favorite characters, actually, and her song, which was definitely my favorite song.
Oh,
so I'm a little salty about that already. So they cut off one of my favorite characters and one of my favorite songs. So I'm annoyed about that. But I've also, aside from that, heard that the movie is pretty good. I've heard it's pretty good representation of Hispanic culture, but then I've also heard that it was not good representation of Black Hispanics.
I've heard that Lin Manuel Miranda shows up more than once in the movie.
Oh my god, yes.
To the point that people have been referring to it as the Lin Manuel jump scares, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Oh yeah, it's Lin.
It's Hamilton.
He plays a piragüero, which. Anyway, so yeah, I've heard that so the piragüero has one song and bits in other songs, and so I've seen the meme of the Castaways song.
Castaways.
Oh my god,
we are castaways.
Fucking TikTok.
Bro, I was making a joke and you weren't listening because you made assumptions about my knowledge of TikTok. Anyway. Castaways, we are castaways. Ahoy there, ahoy, we are castaways.
So there's one that it was some guy that's castaways, we are castaways, and some guy comes in and he's like, castaways, we are, super singing it, and
like Lin Manuel would.
And then they're saying that that's Lin as the piragüero.
Oh my god.
Mask up. We have masked up.
We've masked up.
We are walking
in accordance with CDC guidelines.
Yes.
And you can still smell the marijuana that people are smoking illegally on the roof.
Yep.
Of the parking lot.
Yep.
But it's all good. Miami living. I live on your vacation.
It hasn't stopped raining in 3 days.
It's been 3 days.
Enough. So yes, we're going to go see.
Yeah, and you might see
In the Heights.
You might see our snapshots here and there between us getting to the movie and coming out of it. Now my question is, how do they expect to stay afloat when they have such a big rock in their boat?
Wow.
I'm so funny.
I hope they have the types of Jungle Cruise funds. It's so cute with this little club ear.
So we got so many snacks, and we're in this theater alone because we got here super early. We both got slushies. I got nachos. We got some popcorn share, and you got your crunchy crunch. You got your crunchy crunch. We're all set the hell up.
Yeah.
For this musical, and if this musical does not pop off, at least we have full tummies to thank for it. We can sleep as crazy as we want in these freaking recliners.
No, we're in a fancy theater.
It'll be an expensive ass nap, but it will be a nap nonetheless. You guys can't see the screen because I think it's illegal to record screens, but you can kind of see it in the reflections of my glasses.
Active desktop
They're
recovery.
doing a desktop recovery. This is Dolby Theater. So what do you think this movie's going to be like, Adri?
Well,
do you think it's going to be an overall positive or an overall negative experience?
I think overall it's going to be positive, right?
I hope so.
I hope so.
How funny is it going to be if Lin Manuel just pops up in every single scene and it just ruins the whole movie?
Oh my god, I feel like he would do that.
And every single person just turns on Lin Manuel Miranda because it's bro, we had one chance.
People have already turned on Lin Manuel Miranda.
I mean, how could they? Look at that smolder. It's so hot.
Are you Lin Manuel Miranda?
I'm not that annoying, God. I hope I'm not that annoying.
I was just... He can't even sing. This is just me. We're going to be vlogging for 20 minutes.
Probably.
Just talking shit about the Manuel Miranda. Oh.
The lighting just got really bad.
Uh-huh.
Which is because they got rid of the Dell recovery screen. We'll see you at the end of our screen.
Yep.
In the heights, more like in the blights.
That's awful. Kind of like the movie. Yeah, you know what? Disappointing. Gonna be honest with you. Mark Anthony was there for some reason?
Yeah, Mark Anthony made a cameo as the drunk father of my boy Sonny.
But you know what? I wasn't mad about it. It was just a surprise.
We were like,
I was just like,
we were repeating it for like 2 minutes. We were like already like midway through another musical number, and you were like, Mark Anthony.
Because it caught me super off guard.
It was really
so out of the blue, and it was just like Mark Anthony. I was like, Mark Anthony. Okay, we're gonna get in the car. My arm hurts, so be back.
Overall, we don't have like a rating system yet. In place, because I don't really like 5-star rating stuff. But anyway,
I don't know if I would recommend it.
Yeah, our overall thoughts.
Maybe I would recommend it to somebody who hasn't seen the play at all, like has no idea.
I don't know about that. Like here's my thing, right? Because I technically have never finished watching In the Heights. That was part of my thing. So I'm kind of coming in this like only knowing like about half of the story, and you're sort of filling in the blanks for me as we go on. So when we get into this movie, I'm noticing immediately, like, number one, they completely dropped a plot point like a third of the way through. Like they had a whole musical number about it.
Well,
and then they just dropped it until the very end.
From the very beginning, and I said this earlier, and I had known about this. So they had, can we start talking about spoilers here?
Let's keep it spoiler-free just for like another minute or so.
Okay, so I knew this. They cut off the character of Camila.
Yes.
This is not a spoiler. She's not in the cast. If you've seen the play, you know that she's not in the movie. So by cutting off Camila, they also cut off her song. Which...
They cut a lot of songs.
Yes, but going in, I knew that they had cut off the character and the song, which frustrated me.
It's annoying.
Because I really, really liked
her song,
that character and that song, because that song like always makes me cry, and it's a very quintessential Hispanic Latino
dilemma
experience. That song and her attitude toward Nina and all that stuff. And like, yeah, they also cut off a whole bunch of other songs, and they
which I kind of understand from the standpoint of like not making the movie as long as the freaking Godfather. But at the same time, like, you kept the fucking Ice Cream Man song.
Yeah, Lin Manuel Miranda did not cut any of his songs out.
Yeah, he plays the Ice Cream Man in this as like a little cameo.
First off, he's not an ice cream man.
You know what I mean? The shaved ice guy.
He's a piragüero.
Yes.
That's a super, super side plot point.
Yes, but regardless...
but yeah, no, they didn't cut out any of his songs.
Yeah, they kept him because he's the cameo and he's the guy who made it, so he has to stay in.
Those are not...
Like, I'll give it this, at least...
huge plot points.
Like,
those are not super duper important, and he kept it in.
Like, there are ways to talk about the gentrification issue of Washington Heights without his song, but, like, they sidestepped that political message, which is, like, part of the message of the play, to shove in some other political message, which we sort of talked about while we were in the stairwell.
Yes. My problem with that political message is, like I said, the play and the musical itself is already political in nature, because it's about
the immigrant experience.
The immigrant experience and the gentrification of this immigrant community and all that stuff. But they don't, in the original play, they don't have it so in your face, if that makes sense.
Like, it's just naturally part of the conflicts that they're dealing with. And
you don't need that much critical thinking to kind of put two and two together. And I feel like the way they're shoving it in your face in the movie takes away the critical thinking part of it.
Yeah, part of the problem isn't that, like...
And it also added a plot point that wasn't in the original, and I'm like, what? Where did this come from?
It's also a plot point that doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, the story's not affected in any way by the political message they shove in there. Like, the problem is not even that they shoved in an additional political message, because they could have put it in there, like, as an extra line or two here and there, and it would have been fine. The issue is not that they shoved the political message in. The issue is that there's already a political message baked into the story, that they watered down and sidestepped.
Just naturally, yeah.
Yeah, it was naturally in there, which they sidestepped and watered down to shove in this other political message, which, for lack of better terms, has the depth of, like, a Facebook post about the issue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not good.
It's like...
And this is coming from, mind you, well, we are pretty white passing, but we are still too Hispanic.
I will admit I'm very out of touch with the culture. I consider myself very American.
I'm not. Like, I'm very in touch with my culture, and I'm very, like... I mean, I consider myself Cuban first and then American second.
I mean, you came to this country.
Yes, but either way, I mean, I can still be Americanized. I came to this country when I was 4.
Of course.
I felt it was a lot.
It reeks of producer meddling, studio meddling. Like, they were like, you know what it is? Because I remember seeing Lin Manuel talk about this in an interview that he had where he's talking about In the Heights. Lin Manuel Miranda, who of course wrote the original musical in Hamilton and all that stuff, he's in the musical. He's talking about how when he presented In the Heights, he's like, okay, here you go. And they looked at the character of, I believe it's Mina?
Nope, Nina.
Sorry, Nina. I'm bad with names. They look at the character of Nina and they go,
they were like, she needs to be pregnant.
Well, I was getting to that.
Yes.
I was going to present it in a more story-like way, Miss Excitable
Essentially.
So what happens is, like, her story is that she's struggling to pay for school. And the producers who originally got the script, they look and they're like, okay, cool. What if we also made her a pregnant single mom who doesn't know who the baby daddy is? And he's like, we don't need to add that. The struggle to pay for school is enough. And they sort of like, the political sort of things that they sort of throw in there sort of feels like Lin Manuel was like, okay, you guys can do whatever you want, but like, I get to be in the movie, right?
Which cheapens it.
I get to sing my songs, right?
Which cheapens it because if like, okay, he fought so hard to keep his story true to his vision for all these years.
Like he originally did.
And now it feels like he's selling out, essentially.
Yeah, I hate using that term because it's such like a schoolyard, like, oh, he's a sellout. Like,
but that's what it feels like.
It feels like he like was like, whatever, as long as I get my little songs, you guys can do whatever you want.
Like,
I don't care how much this means to me anymore.
And you know, I don't know if that's what actually happened. I don't know anything about the production aspect of the movie.
As outsiders looking in, it looks and feels that way.
But that's what it said. And like I said, I've seen the play twice.
In person.
So in person, the story, like, it's made me cry every time. But then there was also things that they changed unnecessarily. Can we get into spoilers now?
Yeah, let's get into spoilers. Skip ahead to like this time code that the Kevins are gonna put up on the screen. If you guys want to jump to our final wrap up.
Because we are going to talk about spoilers now.
Because we kind of can't continue talking about this without getting into spoilers. For example.
Yes. Well, the fact that they killed off Camila, which is Nina's mom, for no fucking reason. Literally, there was no point to her death. They added the character of Kuka, which is played by Dasha Polanco.
Well, that's what I was getting at.
And I like Dasha Polanco, but she doesn't contribute anything.
That's what I was getting at. Like,
to the movie.
Like, if you're gonna get rid of Camila because, oh, the two parents sort of play the same role, so it's redundant, I would understand that. But when you add a new character that doesn't do anything but spout one-liners that aren't funny, why did you cut out the first character?
There was really no reason for Dasha Polanco
to be in the movie.
Well, for her character, I mean, she could have played somebody else or something. I don't know. But the character of Kuka just doesn't add anything at all.
Yeah, which is what makes the fact that they cut out characters that were in the original play annoying. Because it's like, if you want to trim down the cast for redundancy's sake, that's fine. But then you added a redundant character, so that doesn't make any sense.
So I'm still hung up on the character of Camila because it just resonates with me a lot. Her character like reminds me of my mom. So when they cut her out, I was like, bitch, what the fuck? That's my mom.
That's my mama. You killed my mama.
You killed my mom.
You killed Nina's mama and my mama.
And so every time they reference Camila, they're like, your mother, God rest your soul. And it's like, what?
Thanks for that.
You ain't gotta kill her though.
Thanks for that.
So the blackout is when it goes into intermission.
Which, by the way, they shortened the blackout song a
lot.
Like the blackout, which a lot. Which here's the big thing about the movie, right? The movie, throughout the entire film, they're having a countdown to the blackout. And the blackout lasts like maybe 5-8 minutes in the movie.
The blackout is such an important plot because one,
it results in the death of Abuela, for one.
No. Relax. In the play.
Okay, right, in the play.
In the play, the blackout is where... Okay, so a bit of backtracking. They made Benny and Nina have previously dated in the movie when they that's not how it happens in the play.
Yeah, in the play, I think it's really, part of what's really funny about Benny is that he's ragging on Usnavi all the time, like, come on, you gotta step up your game, you gotta be a bit more of a player, and meanwhile, he's also too chicken shit to admit to the girl that he likes her. Like, he's egging on Usnavi for the same problem that he has.
Kind of.
You know what I mean?
And then, so they make a reference like, oh, who broke up with who? And it's like, you guys weren't dating. And the whole point of the Blackout song is that that's where Benny and Nina finally get together.
Yeah.
They made it so that they were in separate, like they left. They went completely separate places in the Blackout. Benny went to help the cab dispatch, which doesn't happen in the play. And I mean, it was okay. I guess it was a nice gesture that he did, but it's not something that's relevant in the original play.
Right.
And it just doesn't make sense as to why they did that in the movie.
Like, part of the problem is that when you're adapting a Broadway musical to film, you have a time limit. Like, with musicals on Broadway, you have a lot more time to meddle with, you know, like upwards of 4 hours.
But it's just the changes that they made didn't make sense.
Yeah, like, you're gonna take a 4-hour, let's say, experience, including including intermission or whatever. Like, you're taking 3 to 4 hours and you're condensing it down to 2.5 hours. So every minute counts. But you're cutting out songs that are, like, kind of important to leave in songs that aren't as important, and also to add new scenes that waste runtime.
Yeah, that just don't add anything to the movie.
Why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense.
So, and then in the Blackout song, Usnavi gets weirdly sexist for some reason.
In the movie, you mean?
Yeah, in the movie.
Yeah, there's a random line where he's like, "Oh, you're shaking your ass for half of Washington Heights," and it's like, wow, I suddenly very much do not like Usnavi.
Yeah, and then so the argument that they have in that scene is originally an argument that Benny and Nina are supposed to have, because Benny is mad that Kevin Rosario sold the cab company to pay for Nina's college,
which she dropped out of. We will get back to. Oh yeah.
In the play, the reason Usnavi stays is because Graffiti Pete had graffitied his store, but to paint a beautiful mural of Abuela Claudia.
Who dies?
Riff. Yes. In this one, he painted a beach, which ruins the...
Yeah, he paints a beach, and then, like, almost like as a second thought, like he's like spray paints like her. He also wrote
"Paciencia y fe," which is the phrase that Abuela Claudia keeps saying.
Like basically, as like he does like this weird, like sort of semi-psychedelic beach around his store, and then like as a second thought, he gives the fucking slogan in the corner.
Yeah, and I thought that was just like, I'm like, okay, you're underusing this character that is. He's a small character, but
like he's there for.
He plays a purpose.
Right, like in the movie, it's like they left him in because of plot obligations and for people who watch the actual show.
Yeah.
Because then people be like, oh, where's the mural? What happened to Graffiti Pete?
Yeah, and then, so, back to Nina. Nina, in the play, she drops out of college because she is, like, she had gone to scholarship and stuff like that, but she also, I guess, the scholarship, I mean, they don't...
Scholarship money doesn't really go that far.
No. So she can't afford the books, she can't afford, like, everything else and all that stuff.
So she's juggling multiple jobs and stuff.
Yeah, so she's juggling multiple jobs. Her grades start taking a toll. And eventually she starts failing her classes and they
she basically flunks out.
Yeah, they kick her out. In this one, they made it out to be that she dropped out because
of harassment for her race.
Experienced racism. But also, I feel like the original plot point was strong enough in the Hispanic experience, in the poor Latino experience.
Which is the most of the experience of...
without it being so, like, racism. Because, like, okay...
Like, listen, every Hispanic faces racism at some point or another. Even me, who's, like, super Americanized, I've heard people say horrible things about my people.
I'm white. I've experienced racism firsthand in Miami.
Yeah. By erasing the issue of the fact that why she left was financial...
It also ruins the point of Kevin selling off his company.
Yeah, her dad sells the company to help pay for her stuff, but it's like, which would have solved the problem, but she also dropped out because of her grades failing because of the financial burden.
Yeah, exactly.
And part of the issue there also is that by erasing that and just making the issue that I experienced racism and I don't want to, like, face racism there, like, you're sort of watering down the mass web of issues that Hispanic and Latin cultures and people experience when they immigrate here, which is, it's not just racism, like that's a huge thing, but you also have the financial issues and these issues and those issues. Like,
I don't know, it just seemed very forced. There's a plot point that they completely erased. Kevin Rosario does not want Benny, who is black and American, to be Nina's boyfriend.
Right, that's another thing too.
They erased that completely, and that's a huge point because that is something that is super duper prevalent in Hispanic culture.
There's a lot of racism within Hispanic culture, unfortunately.
A lot of Hispanic parents don't want a black person to be with their kids. That's a huge point. That is so based on racism that they threw away for no reason.
It's actually kind of hilarious that they threw that out in favor of the I was told that I was a waitress and I was actually a student thing. Like,
yeah,
like the other thing's more natural and more prevalent, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Like, hey, she likes this guy. He likes her. He happens to be black. His dad doesn't approve. Her dad doesn't approve because he's black.
Racist.
So,
like, if you wanted a racism subplot, it was already there in the original play.
It was already written. If you wanted to make it more obvious,
you could have done that.
You could have, but it was already there, and they
threw it out for something like that's basically a throwaway line of like, I experienced racism in college, so I don't want to go back.
And it's something that's not even visible, like it's something that happens. Exactly, something that happens off screen.
It's a throwaway
Whereas
line.
This is something that could have happened. It happens in the play, where Kevin specifically goes and tells Benny like, "You will never be good enough for my daughter."
Yeah.
Doesn't specifically go like, "You will never be good enough for my daughter because of your race." Black.
Yeah.
But it's
heavily implied.
Yes.
We know. Let's talk about Abuela, because we've been on the Nina stuff a lot. So here's a big thing, right? Whenever I tell people about In the Heights, as someone who hasn't even finished the play, people are like, "Oh, what's In the Heights about?" I tell them it's about an immigrant community struggling with the day-to-day, a lot of the financial stuff, and then someone wins the lottery.
Yes.
Like that's the pitch. That's the elevator pitch of the show. They have they keep the whole musical number in about everybody searching to see who won
96,000. Oops.
Who won the lottery? Who got the winning number? And then immediately after the musical number happens, everyone completely forgets about it until the last 5 minutes of the movie.
They're like, "Who won the lottery?" Because he has this little thing where he's like, where Usnavi is talking to kids, and that's what the story is. He's telling his story to these children.
It's a whole like framing
back
device.
and forth, yeah. So, one of the little kids is like, "Okay, so who won the lotto?" And Usnavi goes, "I don't know. The ticket was never turned in."
And then it gets turned in in the last 5 minutes because he finds it.
What? What do you mean it wasn't turned in? Yes, it was. Abuela Claudia won the lotto.
Which, to be totally fair, it's like such an Obi-Wan Kenobi thing that he did, where he's like, "Ah, yes, Darth Vader killed your father." And it's like, in a metaphorical sense, you asshole. Why don't you just say that his dad is Darth Vader?
So they ruined that plot point for no reason, which ruins the flow of the story because
then they shuffle all the songs around.
Yes. Like up to this point, they had cut out a few songs and done a little bit of,
but it was still fine.
But it was still flowing properly. And then up until this point, it just they switched, they shuffled in like dominoes, and
it's like you're driving down a street, everything's perfectly fine. You're hitting all greens, everything's fine. Oh, there's a little slowdown here and there, but everything's fine. And all of a sudden, you get freaking T-boned.
Yeah, it was just
by like an 18-wheeler, and you're like, "Whoa, what's going on here?"
Abuela Claudia has her
musical
song,
number.
Her big musical song,
and in the song,
and then she has a song. She has a line in the song that every time it gets me, and it got me in the movie. Where she says, "Ay, mama, what do you do when your dreams come true?" And then she pulls out the lottery ticket and she goes, "What do I do with this winning ticket?"
And that's the big reveal. It's like, oh my God.
That's a huge reveal.
She won the lottery.
Humongous.
Everybody's searching to see who won, and it's dear old Abuela.
Yeah. So.
And that's really that's the catalyst for every other story in the play. And it's why Usnavi considers leaving to go back to Dominican Republic.
No, he had been considering that before.
Right, but now he has
her reveal to him being like, "Hey,
I want to give you some of the money.
We can split this 3 ways, you, me, and Sonny."
That gives him the resources he needs to actually do it.
Yes.
To act on it.
In the play, Usnavi goes back home, finds Abuela, and Abuela reveals to him like, "Look, I won the lotto." And that's where Usnavi's like, "Oh my God, okay." And then they have this beautiful song called Hundreds of Stories, where they talk about all the stories that Usnavi's parents told him about Dominican Republic and all his dreams and all the dreams that Abuela has and how they align.
And the lotto's gonna help them like sort of achieve that.
Exactly. Thrown out.
And keep in mind, all the stories are still happening as they do in the play to a certain extent. Like, Usnavi is still going to the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
Where he got the money, nobody knows, because they talk about it in the movie multiple times. They're like,
yeah, but
oh,
they
how
don't
are you...
say how he's paying for it.
But that's what I'm saying. That's the problem. He, like, Sonny's dad is like, oh, how do you pay for my son's labor? He's like, with cash. He's like, yeah, why do you pay for him, and why do you pay in cash?
And then they don't answer her.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so he can barely afford to pay his cousin to work there. How is he paying to get a plane to the Dominican Republic to fix a bar that got destroyed in a hurricane?
Yeah, so it just doesn't make sense.
The lotto money, though,
yeah,
makes sense, like in the play.
So they throw that out, and then Abuela's Paciencia y Fe song happens as she's going to bed and dying.
Yeah.
While all these people are there, which is not how it happens.
Like, it's still a beautiful song, but like...
No, the song is beautiful, and I really did like the way they set it up.
Sure, but they could have done the exact same thing when they left it, like...
But they...
Because part of the problem is that the movie already has a lot of fantasy elements because it is a musical, and that's, like, sort of how you sort of justify to the film-going audience that has sort of been ruined by cinema sins to be like, yeah, it's a musical, they're singing and dancing because it's imaginary,
yeah.
It's how they're expressing themselves. Like, everything that happened in Abuela's dream sequence of, like, I'm dying and I'm reflecting on my life thing could have happened if they just put the song normally where it is, and it would have been fine, and then you just do a quick flashback to that when she's dying.
Yeah,
still would have worked.
They just didn't do that.
They just wanted to really make it her death song instead.
Yeah, for some reason.
So overall, because we've yammered on about this like a lot, and I know that you have
opinions.
You can go on about this for like literally 5 hours if we let you.
I have opinions.
So overall, like to sort of bring it all back together, our final thoughts, having gone through the spoilers and everything, like, was it worth it?
You know, okay, I'll say this. The actors did a good job.
No, of course. The production's all good.
They were good. I think the actors that they casted were good.
And the production value's good. Like,
yeah.
It's studio backed, so it's not like it's like, oh man, this looks fake.
And then that part was good. The casting was good. The acting was good.
The problem's that they meddled with the story.
Yeah.
And the story was already perfectly fine.
Yep.
All you really had to do was like cut a handful of songs for time, and you would have been fine. Just keep the production value good, and you would have had a perfectly good movie.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the songs they cut out were character development stuff.
Yeah, my biggest problem is that they changed the order of the songs, which changes the story.
And not for better either.
No.
That's the problem too. It's one thing to change the story to improve it. It's another thing to change the story and you just have like a weird scrabbled version of what was originally there. And it sucks because like it's not like we have like an official like Broadway recording of the original In the Heights to watch in comparison.
No, my suggestion is if you really want to watch In the Heights,
watch a totally legal version from
No. See if there is a production nearby.
That's actually, yeah. If there is a local production, like seek it out.
Yeah. The play is a million times better than the movie. Like I said, like production value, acting, singing, all that stuff is great.
It's just that the studio fucked up the story.
Yeah.
People have been joking about it online, and I kind of agree, where it feels like they made this movie to make white people happy and feel like racism is over. You know what I mean?
I don't know. It was
like, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, we got Orange Man out of the office. We have solved racism. Like that weird, like, kindergarten, like, mentality of history where it's like, all right, Abraham Lincoln became president and then slavery became illegal and black people never faced any problems again.
Yeah.
Except when MLK showed up and did his big walk and then they solved racism again. And now there's no more racism because it's illegal. Like,
and Lin Manuel Miranda has solved racism.
Yeah. They've released a movie about Hispanics, so now racism solved a third time.
Yeah.
Like, that's not... No.
It felt super short. Like, it felt really, really short for me. From what it could have been to what it was. I will say for certain scenes and certain moments, like Usnavi's supposed to be super dorky and Anthony Ramos does capture that really well. But there
100%.
were parts where I was like, I feel like you're too hot to play Usnavi. I feel like...
Listen, man.
Because, okay, you go from Lin, who's like...
He looks dorky by nature.
Yeah, and his voice is dorky.
He very much captures, like, dorky theater kid vibe.
And then you have Anthony Ramos, who's, like, kind of
considerably more
and,
handsome.
like, smooth.
So, in general, that's pretty much...
Casting, music, production.
Fine. But the studio should have kept...
up the story.
The studio should have kept their paws off the damn story.
Yep.
It was fine. You didn't have to fix it. You
Yep.
ruined it.
Yep. And Lin Manuel Miranda. Tiny you. Stop selling out, bitch.
Yeah, so join us next time when we hopefully have a rating system and when we watch another movie. Eventually.
Who knows what it'll be? Goodbye.
Later.